surgery and rehab care. As the needs of the community evolve, so will they. That's why coaches, parents, and athletes choose JOI. Call them at JOI 2000 or visit JOI.net. JOI, where the pros go.
3D Digital has you covered for any of your business's digital marketing needs. From producing award-winning videos to getting those digital ads to follow your customers around the internet, our team has your back. Visit 3ddigital.com or give us a call at 904-712-4004 to schedule a free consultation today. 904-712-4004.
Baloo for Shinatri Chiropractic. They've helped me get rid of my headaches and pain in my neck and back. Are you suffering from an auto accident? What about TMJ pain? Headaches associated with jaw clenching, grinding of the teeth, or stress-related disorders? Shinatri Chiropractic has a physical therapist on staff for rehabilitation, quality chiropractic care, dry needling, massage, and acupuncture. Call 743-6700 or go to ShinatriDC.com.
This is your Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update. I'm Andrew Gibson for 1010XL. Jacksonville native Mac Jones is feeling the heat in New England after a 1-4 start as quarterback for the Patriots. ESPN's Adam Schefter on the job security for the former Bulls Bulldogs quarterback.
It can't be overly high. It's enough to keep him as the starting quarterback right now. But this is an offense that's gone 34 straight drives without producing a touchdown. It's had a field goal the last 2 games. And you look at the history here, this is the worst offensive performance for a Bill Belichick coach team or a Patriot team since the early 1990s.
ESPN's Adam Schefter on the tough start this season for Jacksonville's Mac Jones with the Patriots. It's 78 degrees at 2 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air Conditioning. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Hot day and it's a long way back to my home. Turn the radio on and hear it. My friend Lizzie, pretend that their voice counts, but nothing amounts to anything until I hear it from you.
Frank, Hayes, Lauren, and RJ, The Frangie Show starts now on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Hey, welcome in, guys. Along for the ride on this Thursday installment of the program. Our Thursday is always brought to you by our friends at Stanley Pools. Always a Stanley Pools Thursday around here. The best pool company in Jacksonville since 1988. They've been doing it. They've been doing it well. So call on our friends from Stanley Pools if you need a pool, need it redone, need it serviced. They do it all for me, and they will for you as well. Frangie and Carline Brooks, R.J. Saunders with you on this Thursday installment of the program. A lot to do today. An Old Rock Thursday will be kind of fun. Greg McGarity stops by from the Gator Bowl. That's always fun. And I'm going to be locked in tonight at 8 o'clock to Phillies Braves.
Don't you wish it was earlier again today?
I kind of don't.
Oh, really?
I kind of don't, yeah, because, the
football game's not great that it's competing with,
Yeah,
but I still would way rather be able to watch it
I hear you. Good point.
individually, exclusively.
But I think this is a game that deserves the 8 o'clock window. I think this is, and I'm mandating, Carline, that you watch it. Okay? Okay? It's a mandate that you watch that game.
I'll watch it.
Okay. Well, you need to watch this one. This is good viewing.
But
man.
he's like the exact person I'm talking about as far as there's football on. Most people are going to choose, unless you're a Phillies or a Braves fan,
Yeah.
they're going to choose football.
I'll watch it from 8:07 to 8:14.
Yeah. Well, and then you'll turn it back over to 8:47 when it's 21-3 Chiefs. Will you do that then? Maybe you won't.
Maybe.
Because it'll be 21-3 Chiefs.
You would think.
It'll be 21-3 Chiefs.
Now, with your fancy YouTube TV, can you put both on?
If it allows it. So sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. So it's not like it's free range.
Yeah.
Like you have to kind of. I'm trying to think. So the baseball game is on TBS, which is
Right.
is that part of? That's not part of ESPN, is it?
No.
So I don't know.
Okay.
It's a good question. I don't know that it will, because it doesn't allow you to just randomly pick your two.
Yeah.
Now, like Sunday, it linked up really well. I was able to watch both NFL games. I was able to watch Dolphins and then the Ravens at the same time
but
on the
the
same screen.
football's on Prime. The football's not on TV.
Oh, true, yeah.
Right.
So it may be hard.
So
so you
I
wouldn't be able to.
I don't think you probably will be able to tonight.
Probably can't do that. So, but I'm telling you, the theater in the baseball is really good.
I mean, you saw Bryce Harper say, I love playing here. How could
Yeah.
you not? Like, for all those Rays players who are at home watching this,
Right.
they have to be like, man, what an environment. I wish that, and theirs would never be even close to
Right.
that, but still, like, just to have that extra, oomph.
Which is why that team ought to be in Nashville by now. What they should be right now, the moving vans now, should be about Macon,
Right.
on their way up by 75 on their way to Nashville. But I mean, what theater? I kind of felt bad for the Arcia guy. I don't think he would. It's not like he jumped in his face on the field and was talking trash. He for people that don't know the story, Orlando Arcia, the night before, when Harper got doubled up after the great play by Michael Harris, he was saying, "Aha, way to go, Harper," or something like that. Well, so the story goes he said it in the clubhouse around his teammates. Well, that story went viral, and apparently Harper got a hold of it, and Harper hit 2 moonshots and stared down Arcia, which I thought was kind of funny, by the way. I like all the staring down, and so I mean it was great theater. I mean it really was great theater as it was happening. But I felt bad I don't think Arcia. It's not like he talked trash on the field. You know what I mean? So I kind of felt a little bit bad. I love theater like that, but I felt bad for the young guy.
If you're gonna say it in front of reporters, it's fair game.
No question. Oh, I'm not saying
Yeah.
he got a raw deal.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
No, I mean I get
yeah,
your
yeah.
point, but
Yeah.
I mean
No, I
he
agree
had
with
to
you.
have expected that
Yeah.
that was going to get to Bryce Harper.
Yeah. And so, and by the way, I do have no problem with Harper staring him down. I mean, nobody showboats more than Acuna does. And cardinal rule of life: if you're going to do it to them, you better be able to handle it when they do it to you. And so, I had no problem with the staring there. But
Did the Braves complain about Harper?
I don't. It was all the talk. I think.
Yeah.
I think it was more Braves broadcasters, media. In fairness to the Braves players, he did the throat slash, which is certainly outlawed in the NFL. And I
love
think-
the throat slash.
Well, he did a good one. He did a full throat slash.
I give that thing at least 4 times a day.
Just out of general principle.
yeah.
I saw you do it at the Circle K the other day. You just didn't like the
Yeah, I walk out of Publix.
You
Amazon
walk-
puts the package in the wrong spot.
But no, he did the throat slash, and that got everybody upset. And but I'm just telling you, it makes for great theater. Strider's pitching for the Braves tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Some third guys pitching for the Phillies. But if the Braves win, then I guess they play Saturday, right? Tomorrow will be a travel day.
Yep, Saturday, 8:07 first pitch.
And then it would be Zach Wheeler versus Fried. I mean, I told you guys it's going to be a great postseason.
You guys are both pulling for the Phillies?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. But I don't know that I'm.
Why'd you have to look at her to
Yeah.
give your answer?
Yeah. Well, I am. I just want to see if she was.
I don't know
Yeah.
that I'm pulling for anyone.
I kind of knew my answer. I kind of was curious on her answer. So, but I don't. Yeah, I'm pulling for the Phillies. But I don't. I'm not a Braves hater.
So it would be Phillies, Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, wouldn't be nearly as good for baseball.
Yeah, yikes.
Is I don't think. But I think number one, I think the Phillies are. I think they're a cool story. I like Bryce Harper. You don't like that guy. You don't like Tiger,
no,
LeBron,
but both teams
Bryce.
have one, so it's not like I can root.
Yeah, you can't stand that guy. I thought about it.
Yeah,
You said-
no.
you
I
don't-
think
anybody
they
that's
should-
cocky guy you hate. You hate hockey. You hate
It's
cocky.
not that I
guys.
hate; it's that I believe everyone should be humble,
Yeah.
and so that's just my belief. But not
But
everybody
you don't
agrees
like
with
you
that.
don't like LeBron, who's a really good guy.
I didn't love LeBron. I don't mind him as much now that he's with the Lakers, but I didn't love the let's go chase rings on
Take my
super
talents to South
teams.
Beach.
Yeah, I didn't love
People
that.
didn't like that.
And then,
the
I'm going to
decision.
come home and have this wonderful homecoming, and that's great. And then I'm going to leave again. Like, you're jerking people around at some point in time.
I've become a Bryce Harper fan, and somebody wrote this the other day on Twitter, and they're right. This is a guy. He's been under the microscope since he was 15 years old. He was the next great thing at 15 years old as a sophomore in high school. And you know what? He's pretty much lived up to it. He's a really good player. And he doesn't, again, he's in the limelight like LeBron. He's in the limelight all the time. There's nothing nefarious. There's nothing bad.
Like Trevor.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, he all the time in the limelight. He just handles it right. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of a Bryce Harper fan. I think he's fun to watch. So there's that. But I will be locked in. I promise you that. All right, well, a little football tonight as well. Jags and Colts. I got a thought or two about that game. the Gardner Minshew effect. The more and more I think about that, I think that'll be something people talk about a lot. I got a question. Greg McGarrity's going to stop by. I may ask him this, but why has South Carolina never been a thing? They got 80,000 seats.
They have no interstate.
They're in the South.
That's my answer.
Yeah, maybe.
Drive through that state.
Their roads are the worst.
It's like
Absolutely.
what doesn't
you guys feel free to get out of the 1960s.
Doesn't
here.
I-77 go through Columbia? You go, yeah.
They have 77 and they have 26, but both
and in
roads
Columbia,
are in
it's
95.
okay. Columbia, they have 3 lanes on their interstate as you go through it, but way too much of South Carolina. You're like driving through Georgia, who does it great.
Awesome. It's an awesome
Does
rant.
it great.
Yeah.
Georgia has 3-4 lanes on 95 North, paved. It's great. You get into South Carolina, and it becomes a bottleneck because they haven't figured out
So there you go.
that you need to have more than 2 lanes of traffic
And they have-
on your interstate.
They have plenty of visitors for them to tax, right? Like the same way that Florida gets a bunch of state tax money, like getting it from people coming in, tourists. South Carolina has plenty of those, but they don't put it back into the roads.
It's a disqualifier, and that's why they don't have a good football program.
And the problem,
You might get seasick on those
and
roads.
this is such a good rant. I'm not going to even go to the obvious comeback that Clemson has a good football program. I want to stay on the rant. This is fantastic stuff. It's about the interstates.
It is.
But 77 goes through there, and 26 goes through there.
Yeah.
How about you knowing that, by the way? Directional Darla that you are. How would you know what the roads are? That almost fell out of my chair when you knew the roads.
Well, we just went to North Carolina a few months ago. So,
okay.
And then my parents just went to South Carolina, but they didn't take 26 because they hate 26 so much. So that was a
see,
whole
there
conversation.
You go. It's been a family conversation.
Yeah,
Got it.
absolutely. If you're going to travel, you want to find the better paved roads.
But I really do wonder.
They're not near the players. I mean, that's probably the easiest answer.
Clemson figured it out. And I can understand they're not close enough to the players to be Alabama, LSU, Florida, but they've South Carolina with 80,000 seats in a great conference, somewhat close to the players. I mean, they're closer to Alabama, the Florida and Georgia than some schools are. Clemson's found a way to make all that work. They've never been any good. Never. Spurrier got them to the top 10 a few times, right? He had 3 straight 11-win seasons there, which in retrospect, winning 11 games 3 years in a row, that might be as great an accomplishment as Spurrier ever had. That might be as good as the Florida stuff.
It's remarkable.
It really is. And so, but they've never – I'm thinking about this Florida-South Carolina game. They've never been anything.
Well, Clemson poured resources into the football program.
Yeah, good point.
What I don't know is are South Carolina's facilities, and I'm assuming they're not because we would have heard somewhere along the line if they were amazing, like Clemson's.
You know what, Lauren? All I've been to are the football stadiums, and I've only been to the Clemson Stadium one time. You were with us on our broadcast team. I've been to South Carolina's probably 10 times. So, but the stadiums look similar to me. South Carolina Stadium, you've been there, right?
Yeah.
So it looks like
It's not a tough place to play.
It's not a tough place to play, but the structure of that's the structure of it. It's look at SEC Stadium. It's 80,000. It's not. It's not Scott Field in Starkville where it's 56. I mean, it's a big place. So I just wonder. South Carolina has never moved the needle.
I also think this. I think it's really, really difficult to compete at a high level when you're in the SEC. I wonder if Clemson had been in the SEC since 1992.
Very good point.
What would their record be?
That's a very good point. Maybe Clemson not. And Anthony Ferretti's about to send me a text. Anthony, I'm ready for it. But that is a really good point. If Clemson had been in the Southeastern Conference since 1992, like South Carolina has, would they be South Carolina? And again, this is not to dismiss any of this. That's a really fair point. It's a fair question. We don't know the answer. And Clemson's had really good coaches, but anyway. So we'll talk.
And
more about
Clemson
that.
has more tradition. I mean, I'm not trying to suggest. I think Clemson is a much better football program than South Carolina.
Of course it is.
But I mean, again, they won a title in what 80, 81? Clemson
81, I think.
So I mean, they
84 title.
Yeah, they've had way more heritage and
I agree.
Winning. But I do think playing in the ACC has made it easier.
Yeah.
When Florida State hit a massive speed bump, Clemson took full advantage, which is great. That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, interesting stuff. So we'll talk about that coming up. Frank Clark is going to be on the market. Does he intrigue you if you're a Jaguar fan? A lot to talk about today on the program. I'm glad you're with us. Let's come back and talk some Jaguar football. It's 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
The Frangie Show, live from the Hastings Injury Law Firm Studios on 1010XL. Hit back with Hastings.
We knew it was going to be a dogfight. It was going to be a 4-quarter game.
Looks, fires to the back of the end zone. Caught for the touchdown. Zay Jones.
Things are beginning to kind of gel for them.
Took all three phases.
What an interception inside the 10-yard line.
Crunch time. The offense had to go down and have a drive.
He bursts out of there. Travis Etienne. Gonna put a nail in this thing.
We just have to keep moving in the right direction. I feel like we're doing it as a team. Statement game. The next one could be even bigger.
We're 5 in. We've got plenty of football ahead of us.
The next one is a divisional opponent.
The Indianapolis Colts, Sunday at 1 on the home of the Jaguars, 1010XL.
Lauren Brooks here. Tired of joint pain holding you back? Try BioTarget from Injury Care Centers. This treatment will prolong the life of your joints by targeting the root of your pain and delivering more regenerative cells to the affected area, ensuring faster and more effective healing, making BioTarget the most advanced regenerative treatment. For a limited time, BioTarget starts as low as $499. Call Injury Care Centers or visit GoBioTarget.com. That's GoBioTarget.com.
Hey, it's Tony from Tony D's Pizza. If you love our pizza and pasta dishes, let us cater an event for you. Family function or office parties, we can deliver you an amazing Italian meal. Remember, it's not just pizza at Tony D's. Bay Meadows and $2.95.
Frank Frangie here for Stanley Pools. There's a reason so many of my friends and our listeners have had Stanley Pools build their pools and now maintain their pools because Stanley Pools truly cares about their customers. Stanley Pools is locally owned and has been serving our community for 35 years. For all of your pool needs, call Stanley Pools at 269-7277. That's Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools. 269-7277 or find them online at StanleyPoolsFL.com.
Tim Pearson here, founder of Chattanooga Whiskey. Did you know that Chattanooga Whiskey was awarded Craft Producer of the Year by Whiskey Magazine? We spent years perfecting our unique style of bourbon we call Tennessee High Malt. Try a bourbon that's truly best in craft today. Drink Chattanooga Whiskey, enjoy responsibly.
Start your Sunday off with a cup of Joe and some sports medicine intel. This is Joe C. inviting you to join me and Dr. George Bari for Breaking Bones every Sunday morning at 7:30. And if you miss an episode, just look for Breaking Bones wherever you listen to podcasts.
If you need an insurance agent, I'll recommend the best guy in town, State Farm agent Craig Dewhurst. Call him at 940-9740. Really good guy, really good agent. Life insurance, homeowners, automotive, you name it, he'll handle it for you. Tell him what you need. He'll assess your whole situation. What kind of coverage do you need? How much coverage? What should your deductible be? What do you make and how does it fit your cost and your rates? You will love dealing with Craig. What a nice guy he is and how he'll help you get the right answers. The best in the business. Craig Dewhurst from State Farm, 940-9740.
Hey folks, Mike Dempsey here. You've heard me talking about Pella Windows and Doors. With great ratings and expert reviews, you know they're high quality and energy efficient products. So what's your next step? Schedule a free consultation at PellaJacks.com or just stop by the Pella showroom on Phillips Highway. Their professional design consultants will guide you through your entire project from start to finish. And that's the quality and service you can expect from Pella Windows and Doors.
The Jaguars are back and ready for another AFC South showdown. Join the team at Everbank Stadium as they take on the Colts October 15th. Go to jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000 for this special game.
Did you know the 2023 Honda CR-V Hybrid never needs to be plugged in? The onboard system charges the batteries for you. When you think Honda, think hybrid. Good for the environment, great for your budget. Visit your local Honda dealer to experience the CR-V of the future today.
Mike Dempsey for Dandy Foods, and happy to report that Dandy has brand new goodies out there, only available at select gate locations. 4 delicious new lunch items to choose from. A hot roast beef and provolone, an Italian combo that'll melt in your mouth, spicy buffalo chicken, or a big old juicy 100% beef cheeseburger. They're all served on fresh ciabatta bread, baked locally and delivered daily, just as you'd expect from the folks that bring you fresh, never frozen goodness.
Got that hometown flavor creeping up on you, yeah.
Men, if you're struggling with erectile dysfunction or PE, the medical providers at Prime Men's Medical Center offer breakthrough treatments that eliminate problems in the bedroom without pain or surgery. Listen to a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Prime Men's Medical Center offers the most advanced treatments to eliminate ED and PE. 98% of men experience instant results on their first office visit. They're even lasting 90 minutes or longer, regardless of age or medical history.
Don't just take our word for it. Call Prime Men's Medical Center now for our limited time offer. Your initial consultation and first treatment are completely free. You'll see instant results right in the office. You'll even get a gift that enhances your performance in the bedroom. All this, worth hundreds of dollars, is free if you call now. 904-664-8217. 904-664-8217. That's 904-664-8217.
Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. From GFL, Green for Life.
Rick Ballou for Carlson Dental. You know, I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist. I had total anxiety, and then I tried sedation. Light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation as well for cavities and root canals. Folks, it's an incredible experience. So don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Go to carlsondentalgroup.com. That's carlsondentalgroup.com for all of your dental needs.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
It's an old rock Thursday. Music the way it should be, or at least used to be, on the Frangie Show.
That thing up, RJ.
Be here by 4:30, 'cause I've made your reservation. Don't be slow. No. 'Cause I'm leaving.
57 years ago, this week, the Monkees released their first ever album. This week, Carl. 57 years ago this week. Oh, that. I was 8. Guess I was 8.
That's crazy.
Oh, that.
Did you watch the show when...
I did watch the show.
Yeah.
I loved the show.
It was good. I watched it as a kid. It was like in syndication on Nickelodeon.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Do you remember your parents listening to this album?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I told you guys a story. They were never supposed to be a musical group. They were supposed to, it was a television show, and they cast the television show to look like the American version of the Beatles. It never was going to be. It was a Saturday morning television
Those
show.
bowl cuts and everything.
It was a Saturday morning television show, and then that became the. But it turned out the music was good, so they turned them into a band and have some good songs. So the Monkees today on Old Rock Thursday. Can you name the Monkees?
Davy Jones.
That's one.
Peter Tork.
You are very good. That is two. That's the hardest one, by the way.
Mickey Dolenz.
It's 3 of the 4 and didn't even bat an eye. You see, didn't even bat an eye.
I'm glad you didn't ask me.
Michael Nesmith.
Boy, that's 4 out of 4 and didn't even bat an eye.
Yeah.
Very
well done.
Thank you.
Well, take the rest of the show off.
Okay,
I mean, that was. How good was that? Would you have known any of them?
If you would give me like multiple choice, I would have gotten.
I mean,
Davy
Carline
Jones.
said, "Is that the hard
And that's
stuff?"
it.
I honestly, I watched the show, and so I just remembered. It's weird how certain things kind of stick with you, and for whatever reason, I sort of remember. They used to introduce them, obviously, at the beginning of the TV show.
Very well done, right there.
Yeah, I don't know why I have that. I'm not like it's a real useful piece of information, but
listen, you know me. Nobody knows more stuff that doesn't matter than I do. Okay, so I'm kind of the king of that. And Peter,
number for Davy Jones, please.
and Peter Tork, his real name was Torkelson, and his brother Eric Torkelson played for the Packers.
Oh wow!
How about that? I have no idea. I don't remember what position he played. I remember that from my childhood. That Peter Tork had a brother. His name was Torkelson. Tork was short for Torkelson, and he had a brother named Eric Torkelson who played football for the Green Bay Packers.
So Peter probably had kind of a rough childhood.
He probably did.
Yeah.
He became the bigger star, though.
He ended up doing okay.
He became the bigger star. So Eric Torkelson, I have no idea what position he played, but there was an Eric Torkelson who played for the Green Bay Packers around the time the Monkees were out. So there's that. Again, talk about useless information. That's about as useless as it gets.
It's a good fun fact.
Other people must have Googled him because it came right up.
Okay.
He is currently 71 years old, and he was a running back.
Running back for the Green
Number
Bay Packers.
23, and now you'll never forget that. You're welcome.
I will now know the number. There's that.
It's what inspired Jordan.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
Eric Torkelson. Frank Clark do anything for you?
At this point,
Because you said something yesterday that surprised me. You said you strongly and firmly believe they will make a deadline deal for a pass rusher. They just haven't been deadline deal team. Now the Ridley thing, which was a stroke of genius, the way they did it.
Well, Darius in 17 was a massive trade.
It was.
You know,
that
now
was
it was a different.
deal. But you're right.
Administration.
But it was. That's a good point.
Yeah,
and that's what this was.
And that's what I think this will be. I don't necessarily think it's going to be like Danielle Hunter, or Brian Burns, a guy that I think it's more of a supplemental guy that you're probably looking more 4th, 5th round selection. So I think it's more like that. I don't know that it's hey, we're making a trade to supplant, Trayvon Walker or move him inside permanently. I don't think it's that. I think it's they need a running mate for DeJuan Smoot, is a rotational guy, like they had last year with Arden Key.
Yeah.
And no one has stepped into that role. Kayvon Chason hasn't done it. Shocker. And Yasir Abdullah hasn't gotten there, which isn't a surprise because he's a 5th-round rookie. So, But if they're going to be serious about this, if they're serious about trying to win the Super Bowl, you've got to go out there and improve your pass rush. Now, again, they play 3 more games prior to the deadline. So if if you lost another player of great importance, if like you lost Tyson Campbell, then you might feel like, oh, well, actually now we probably need to prioritize a corner because you're probably only making one move. So, but if the team stays with the health they have now, then I think it's got to be a player that can take the 20, 25 snaps that you're giving Chason and Abdullah. So, again, I don't think it has to be – and Frank Clark would be that kind of player. I mean, I don't know that it will be Frank Clark, but to me it's not necessarily a blockbuster trade, but it's a trade that they need to make to improve their rotation there.
Frank Clark started the season with an injury. He had sustained a hip injury, and then this week he's not playing tonight because of illness. I don't know how sick he really is.
2 games.
But, yeah, and so that's why if you're looking at the stats and you're saying, well, why would the Jags go after a guy that doesn't have any sacks this season? He ended up with 5 last season with Kansas City, and he is just on the 1-year deal. So it makes sense in that regard. I would love to see them go after either Danielle Hunter or Brian Burns and send a message to this team that we are ready to win right now. And if at times it's one of those 2 guys playing alongside Josh Allen and Trayvon ends up playing either a different position or takes a little bit of a backseat, that's fine too.
The Frank Clark deal, and I kind of agree with Hayes. I think if they do a deal, I think it would take some pretty good capital to get one of those 2 guys, Lauren. I think, but we'll see if they're even available.
Hunter's also on a 1-year deal, and then Brian Burns, Carolina declined his 5th-year option.
Right. So he'd be available.
So none of them are.
So they would be as expensive for that reason. Yeah, good point. Frank Clark's 30. His years with the Chiefs were good, but he was not a good Chiefs team. I mean, he had Chris Jones opposite him. He went to 3 Pro Bowls in 4 years with the Chiefs. So he's a pretty good player. And I think a rotational guy is what they need. So it'll be very interesting that between now and the deadline, do the Jags dip their toe in the water with a pass rusher? I think that'll be interesting to see. As for the Jags-Colts game, winning the game is significant for obvious reasons. You're in first place. You will have swept a team in your division. You will have won 3 games in a row. You will be 4-2, which in the NFL is a damn good record. So the significance of the game is pretty clear here. Nobody would debate that. Is it troublesome if you lose and all of a sudden you're in second place to the Colts?
Very troubling.
Now, it's early. Early. All this in first place or second place is early. 3-3. I know before the Bills game I was thinking I would take 3-3 after 6. But now after beating the Bills, I don't feel that way as much. But is it one of those games that losing would hurt more than winning will make you feel good?
No, I think winning will feel great. I think if they win Sunday, Jaguar fans should be partying. I mean, that is a huge win. It's the kind of win that if you're growing as a franchise, absolutely don't just be like, don't treat it like, well, it's a relief that we won. Embrace it and savor it if you beat the Colts because it is a gigantic step towards defending this divisional title and getting back in and having a home playoff game. I think losing it is devastating because you now are 0-2 in your division at home, which is just inexplicable. I mean, I didn't think they'd lose 2 games in the division this season, and if they did go 4-2, I figured they'd both be on the road where they, may be sleepwalking or you just catch a bad team at the wrong time. But I mean, if they lose to the Colts after just losing to the Texans at home, yeah, I think that's incredibly concerning for them.
Because then the Colts' next 3 games with Gardner Minshew, assuming AR only misses 4 games, the next 3 games are Browns and Saints at home and then at Carolina. So that's a fairly easy path for the Colts when they're trying to get by, and who knows how long Gardner will play. But yeah, I think it's massive because also it's huge momentum both ways. For the Jaguars, it's continuing off of the high that you just came off of in London, 2-0, beating a great Bills team, and it's also sending a message to the Colts. But if the Colts win, now you've got a team with huge momentum in the division that you didn't expect.
Who would you rather have to defend? Gardner Minshew or AR?
Right now, Anthony Richardson. In years to come, I think the answer would certainly be you'd rather play Gardner. But right now, you'd rather play AR because he's still not quite as sophisticated.
I think that's a consensus. I don't. I've asked that question on and off the air to about 10 people, and it's unanimous. It's a unanimous answer.
I think
the people with whom I've spoken.
I think it would have to be because again, turnovers are such a big part of winning in the NFL, and Gardner Minshew makes it hard for you to win the turnover battle because he's just rarely going to throw picks. Whereas Richardson, I think absolutely he could have a game where he throws 2 or 3,
and he has to defend the whole playbook. I mean, with Gardner knows the whole playbook. Anthony, this is no disrespect to him. He just got to the league. But rookies typically don't know the whole playbook. And so now everything you've seen Shane Steichen's teams do, you have to concern yourself that they might do. This is going to be I think the Jags are going to win the game. There's no mystery in my picks tomorrow. I'm going to pick the Jags to win. But I think this is a fourth quarter game. Do you feel that way or not?
I do. I think it's a good game. I think the Jaguars win, but I think it's like 20. I think Vegas has it dead on.
What is the number?
I think it's 4. I think it's 24-20. I think it's that kind of game.
I do too.
23-20, somewhere in there. I'd be surprised if the Jaguars don't score into the 20s.
Me too.
So it could be like a 17-13, but I think it probably comes in, and I'd be surprised if they're both in the 30s if it's that game. So I think it'll probably settle in at like 24-20 Jaguars.
Which weapon do you think has the biggest day for the Jags?
I really think, again, who had the bigger day on Sunday, Etienne or Ridley? You could almost say they tied.
Yeah.
But I think Etienne has a big day again. I think they are as good as Trevor Lawrence is and as wonderful as those outside weapons are. They, in my mind, they have evolved into you're going to be as good as Etienne is. Do you feel that way? I feel like he is a really important part of their football team.
Absolutely, and he's got a great chance. It's a great question. I don't think it'll be Ridley because he hurt the Colts in the opener.
Mm-hmm.
So my guess is Gus Bradley puts more attention on him because I think they went into the game like we don't really know where Calvin Ridley is. He hasn't played in a long time, so let's devote our attention away from him. And, that obviously Calvin Ridley made them pay for that. He had like 100 yards in the first half, basically. So I think they'll adjust, and Ridley will be the focal point of stopping, the passing game. So I'll say Christian Kirk has a big game. But I think Etienne will probably, in terms of numbers, have the best, quote, fantasy day.
Who do you think?
For the Jags.
I keep waiting to see. I'm not going to predict it for this game, but I keep waiting to see Evan Ingram have one of those games where he and Trevor Lawrence are just on the same page, and he is just a guy that gets close to 100 yards. But I'll actually go against you, and I'll say Ridley because he was really good. Even though yes, they might try and do some different things, but I don't know that there's a single Colts defender who can keep up with him, even if they try and double team him.
Yeah, I think back to Ingram. I think Ingram's going to have the career Ingram's going to have. It's going to be one of those you don't notice the great games necessarily until you look up, and he's had another career year in catches. You know what I mean? I think he sneaks up on you that way. The Colts are good on defense. I will tell you, those 2 tackles, Buckner and Stewart. Boy, the Jags have gotten a lot of good tackle combinations they've had to play against. Those 2 tackles are very good. They're physical, without question. So they're good players. I think Zaire Franklin's playing the best football of his career. I think he's better than Shaq Leonard now. Shaq Leonard is the guy that gets all the attention, but I think Franklin's their best linebacker. So I'm not sure their secondary is great. So back to the point about Ridley, I think that's.
But you have to have time to throw.
Yeah, correct. You have to protect, but it'll be interesting to see. All right, we'll take a break. Let's get into college football. Greg McGarrity's on the way. It's our Gator Bowl college football report. It's next. Stay with us.
The Frangie Show, live from the Hastings Injury Law Firm Studios on 1010XL. Hit back with Hastings.
Sometimes the most important position in sports needs a translator.
I'm Denny Thompson, and they call me the quarterback whisperer.
He shares his insights Friday mornings on The Drill. Brought to you by Tyson Sound and Security and George Moore Chevrolet.
At Cannons of Jacksonville, they know that when you're towing anything, you gotta have products you can rely on. With over 50 years of fabrication expertise, the family at Cannons can repair or install precisely what you need to tow with confidence. Whether it's a heavy-duty hitch, trailer frame, gooseneck, tow bar, or any other towing accessory, Cannons will provide you with unmatched precision and durability. For all your towing needs, visit cannonsofjacks.com, where quality and customer satisfaction collide.
Hi, I'm Sean Monahan from Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach, your local family jeweler for 45 years with GIA-certified diamonds and gemstones, fashion jewelry in gold, and the latest styles. Also know that we have a full-service jewelry repair and restoration department, and our jewelers can get most repairs done in a couple of days. If you need a ring-sized or stone replaced or chain repaired, we can do it. Monahan's also buys gold and diamonds, so bring those in and we'll pay you top dollar. And remember, we can finish most jewelry repairs in a day or two. Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
Okay, Gator Nation, are you ready to do that Gator Chunk with your boy E.T.? Brackish Vodka and I have something very special brewing for you at Miller's Ale House for the Gator game versus South Carolina. Join me this Saturday at Miller's Ale House off of Beach and Hodges at 3:30 for the ultimate Florida Gator watch party. We're taking it to the next level, baby. The Ale House is now pouring Brackish Vodka, a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Gather your friends, deck yourself out, and come cheer with me, E.T., this Saturday for the Gator game watch party at Miller's Ale House off of Beach and Hodges.
Flickering lights and hot switches can be annoying. They can also signal a major problem or electrical emergency. So leave it to the pros and Mr. Sparky.
888 Sparky. Your on-time electrician, Mr. Sparky of the First Coast.
Start your Saturday with a whiff of the great outdoors.
Captain Kevin Favor here with Captain Kirk and Jeff Loggeman. We bring you the fresh air of the great outdoors.
On the Nimnit Outdoors Show, presented by Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing and Septic Services on 1010XL.
Frank Frangie here. These days, it's hard to know which companies to trust. When it comes to banking, I trust South State Bank. South State truly values its customers, and they work hard to create meaningful, lasting relationships. I love going into my local branch. I see the same smiling faces I've seen for years. South State is the largest bank headquartered in Florida, so they're able to offer all the banking services you need. You can trust South State Bank. Banking forward. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Ever wonder how you can transform your living spaces into captivating works of art? At First Coast Lighting and Fans, they offer a huge selection of high-quality products to match your desire for elegance, quality, and uniqueness. Visit their showroom on Phillips Highway at the Avenues and step into a world of quality without compromise. Discover the difference that locally owned expertise makes and let them help you experience the transformation from average to extraordinary. At First Coast Lighting and Fans.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists is holding their annual Bumps and Bruises clinics every Saturday morning through early November. These injury evaluations are absolutely free and open to every school and athletic program. So see us this Saturday morning at 3 North Florida locations from 9 to 10. The Brooks Center for Sports Therapy inside the YMCA. Preferred Physical Therapy, Fleming Island. And at Atlas Physical Therapy in St. Johns County.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Do you feel a ghastly presence in your septic tank this Halloween? A septic emergency is spookier than a haunted house. But fear not. Duck Duck Rooter is here to rescue you from the depths of septic despair.
I'm Vlad, the Valiant Septic Tech, ready to cast out the demons from your septic system. If your toilet's acting possessed or your pipes are stirring up a witch's brew, we got the magic wand to fix it all.
Call Duck Duck Rooter at 904-862-6769 to schedule your septic tank pumping today.
What is the rule if a baseball hits the foul pole? The answer next.
How long has it been since you compared homeowners' insurance rates? Log on to southernoak.com to get an instant quote or find an agent near you.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
A baseball hitting the foul pole is ruled a fair ball. And if it's above the wall, well, that's a home run.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
At ABBQ, they are turning up the heat this football season like no other. Picture this, 15 massive TVs strategically placed throughout the restaurant so you won't miss a single touchdown. Step into their huge outdoor area where the excitement of the game meets the fresh air. Here's the kicker, and this is a big one for me. They got the sound on blast throughout the restaurant for the whole game. Your destination for mouth-watering barbecue and an unforgettable game day. ABBQ, meet and drink with us.
Hi, this is Travis Cummings of the Bailey Group, and I specialize in working with medium and large companies to ensure their employees get the best benefits possible.
This is Mary Marks from the PACE Center for Girls. PACE provides girls and young women an opportunity for a better future through education and advocacy. And Travis Cummings from the Bailey Group ensures everyone that works at PACE has the very best in coverage and benefits so that we can attract the very best team members.
And I'll make sure your employees are well taken care of.
Taylor Doll here for Renewal by Anderson. Upgrade your home with a winning combination of style and performance. For a limited time, get 20% off of every window, 20% off all patio doors, and 20% off of installation. Plus, no money down, no payments, and no interest for 18 months. Offer expires October 31st. Restrictions apply. Renewal by Anderson, proud to be the official window and door replacement partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit rbafla.com. License number CGC 1527613.
This is Dr. Kevin Kaplan, head team physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jags, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
We got some long-awaited news today on a member of the Jaguars' defensive front. The Jaguars announced today that defensive tackle Devon Hamilton has been officially placed on the designated to return list, opening up his 21-day practice window. Hamilton, a huge part of the Jaguars' defensive interior, was placed on the reserve injured list on August 31st with an undisclosed injury. The Jaguars' third-round draft pick in the 2020 NFL Draft will return to practice today. Hamilton signed a 3-year, $34.5 million extension with the Jaguars in April. A key piece to the Jags' defense is back on the field. I'm Andrew Gibson with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars update.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
It's an old rock Thursday. Music the way it should be, or at least used to be, on the Frangie Show. The College Football Report is presented each week by the Gator Bowl with Executive Director Greg McGarity. Here's Greg with the Frangie Show crew.
Looking today on Old Rock Thursday, Frank Frangie, Hayes Carline, Lauren Brooks, R.J. Saunders. Greg McGarrity's here from the Gator Bowl, the executive director there. We were just talking off the air, Greg, about the debacle Miami, Georgia Tech. As an AD, Hayes asked you this question off air, or Lauren did. Let me ask you, what are you thinking if you're the AD and you see that inexplicable decision?
You know, it probably puts an element of doubt in your mind as far as kind of moving forward. It's just amazing that it happened, and I hate it for all the kids. And granted, what happened after the failure to take a knee is kind of tough to imagine too. But
if you're the AD, if you're Dan Radakovich, who's a friend of yours,
oh yeah.
If you're Dan, do you bring in Mario and have a conversation about it? Do you stay out of it? And if you had been him Saturday night or Sunday morning, what would you have done?
Oh, you find out what's going on.
You would have brought it in.
Absolutely. Okay. You find out what was the decision-making process and where's the failure and how do you prevent it from happening again? Because it happened previously with Oregon.
Correct.
Playing
when he was at Oregon,
yeah. Stanford.
Yeah.
So there's a pattern there, but you just have to we all have bosses. So I always thought if my president asked me a situation about a football game, I can't sit there and say, well, I never asked him about that. I need to have an answer.
I got you.
So we all are responsible to someone. So to protect the AD's hide, they better have a response, whether the president likes it or not, or whoever they may report to figure out what went wrong.
And now they play at North Carolina, and you have to wonder mentally, where is the team at and the trust level that they have in their coaching staff?
It's a huge culture game in my mind. What's Carolina going to do? How are they going to approach it? But more, how is Miami going to approach it? And when it's tight, what happens? And because that could be, as we know, certain instances during the season can change a season around. We've seen that before, and I think this is one of those that's really going to be telling on Saturday.
How much do presidents actually interfere with athletic directors?
I wouldn't say interfere. I would say are engaged. At the University of Georgia, Jerry Moorhead was very engaged, which was a good thing because when you need help, you need someone there that kind of has the pulse of it, pulse of the program. I think the worst could be was a president that's hands off, because then all of a sudden you're going to have problems within your program. And if you don't have someone that's totally adept or aware of what's going on, it could be devastating for an athletic director. So marching hand in hand, we all talk about alignment. The head coach, the athletic director, and the president have to all be aligned. If they're not, there's a good chance that good things aren't going to happen.
Greg, did you meet with Rick and Kirby on a regular basis? Did y'all have like a Tuesday morning meeting or anything? Does it work like that?
No. I had so much respect for Coach's time.
Yeah.
I was always around, whether that was at the end of practice or just being visible to where if they needed you or I needed them, it was simply a text, hey, I need to see you for 5 minutes, and that always happened.
Right.
But I was always respectful for their time, and I didn't want to meet just to meet for the sake of having a meeting. But both coaches were very accessible, and if I needed them, they were available. If I needed them, same way.
It seems like, looking at the Gators, almost a must-win Saturday if they're going to stay on the board. I would think to get to 7 wins, they've got to win Saturday. Is that how you see it?
Absolutely. I think the loser of that game is going to have difficulty being bowl eligible because they've got to find 3 more wins the rest of the season. South Carolina and Florida, and you look at the schedule, where are those games coming from? Because Florida ends up at Missouri, FSU, and I forgot the other.
At LSU.
At LSU. So the last 3 games, they're
really hard.
They're probably not going to be favored in those games. So it's really pivotal. I'm just talking about for 6 games.
Right.
So it's a big, big game. Unfortunately, it goes head on with A&M and Tennessee. So you're going to have to go split screen to kind of watch those games.
You've got Post-it notes again this week. What do you have on your Post-it notes?
Well, I've got the games we're really focused on. One was we talked about Miami and North Carolina because both teams are in play. NC State at Duke is a big game for our bowl to see who kind of separates themselves. Florida, South Carolina for what we already talked about, and the A&M Tennessee game is really going to be interesting from our scale. But nationally, you've got Washington and Oregon because one of those will be out of probably the top 4 conversation after this week. But sort of tracking that as far as those games where we have people out watching those games, and certainly they'll be creating a lot of attention this weekend.
Hayes, I'm going to guess of the A&M Tennessee game, Greg's only watching one of those teams.
That's
right. I'm just guessing.
Rocky Top.
Yeah, I'm guessing this is probably one of those teams.
Yeah. You wouldn't, in seriousness, you wouldn't have to take, or how long can you kind of say A&M was just here, just invited, and is that expired? And I know they're not, proximity doesn't really work great anyway, but do you think that you would ever get almost like handcuffed to having to take Texas A&M?
Yeah, I never want to say never.
Yeah.
Just like when Kentucky was here during the COVID year, they didn't really experience the bowl. So both of those are unique situations. Probably Kentucky's got a little bit longer runway because they've been here less frequent than A&M would have, but certainly the distance would really come into play, and knowing how the lack of response that they created 2 years ago probably doesn't bode well for a team, a bowl this far away from College Station.
You may not know this answer off the top of your head. When was the last time Duke was in the Gator Bowl?
Wow. I don't know, but they look pretty attractive as far as the brand of ball. And
have they ever been?
I would say no.
I don't know. I'm
we'll look it up.
Smitter.
We'll look it up.
Smitter, Texas.
I should know that.
Because Smitter's listening.
Yeah.
Smitter, look that up in
Texas.
Texas.
I should know that.
We'll go back to the Gators for a second. You made an interesting point. You're right. If they lose this game, they may not play in a bowl. I mean, there's a distinct chance that they could beat Arkansas and nobody else. So that'd
be 5.
Take your bowl hat off and go back to your AD hat again now. if you're Scott Strickland, how damaging is that in your mind? I know Scott wants to be patient with him.
Mm-hmm.
Do you still say, listen, we promised the guy 3 or 4 years. We're not letting a missed bowl change that, or do you concern yourself a little?
No, I think it all depends on what the AD and the head coach, what they have as far as their view and their how they view the program and the progress that's made along the way. So I think that's what it all boils down to. I think the tough thing is a lot of coaches are having tremendous success in their second year.
Yeah,
you're looking at Oklahoma Venables, who was 5-6. I mean, you see what they do. They just totally redid their roster. I think from the NIL end. Dan Lanning. Second year at Oregon, but you go down the list of those that have done well and maybe not so well. Mario's in his second year. You've got Brian Kelly, Riley out at Southern Cal. So you've got some comparisons that people also look at too. Why didn't you do that in the second year? But those are totally, you can throw those out the window because every situation is unique. Yeah. But I think as long as Scott and the coach are aligned properly, and he's doing the things that Scott's expecting of him to do. There should be a level of patience there.
Louisville got a gigantic win over Notre Dame. They're 6-0. How attractive would Louisville be if they finish in that 9-3, range?
Well, I think in their coach's first year back at Louisville, I think there's tremendous excitement. It also enters into the picture of those three teams that are tied right now, North Carolina, FSU, and Louisville, don't play each other, and they're all undefeated. So only two can play in the championship game. So it's really going to be interesting to see how that develops in the first year of non-divisional play in the ACC. But I think Louisville would be a great draw.
Have you been to all of the SEC schools at any point, like with your time with Georgia and Florida combined?
Only except Texas A&M. Georgia never played in the rotation.
Florida's very aware of that.
So, all the campuses other than that. I've been to Missouri and obviously all the original members, but not to Texas A&M.
And what is South Carolina like? We were talking about South Carolina a little bit earlier.
Let me expound on it.
Yep.
Why, Southern football as well as anybody. Why has South Carolina never been a thing? I mean, Clemson figured it out. The traditional SEC schools have all had their runs. Yeah. South Carolina has never been – 9 years is a party up there. And I mean 9 wins, rather. Why have they – big stadium. Like Hayes says, not as close to the players as Florida and Georgia, but they're not that far away. They're not up in Virginia or New Jersey. Why has South Carolina never figured it out?
I think a lot of it's a recruiting base because they've got to go head-to-head with Clemson.
Right.
But Georgia's so strong. Florida's so strong. I mean, the surrounding Tennessee's so strong. North Carolina's strong. It's just difficult to drag the best players in those surrounding states to South Carolina, I think.
Yeah.
And so I don't think I don't think anyone will have the success that Coach Spurrier had there.
3 straight 11 wins.
I mean, those were unbelievable days for South Carolina, but it tells you it takes a unique person. And I'm not saying Shane can't do it, but what Steve was able to do there was just incredible.
Yeah, I can safely say it'll be a long time before South Carolina has 11-win seasons 3 years in a row. So I definitely think that. Before we let you go, final thing. Ooh, Georgia flexed its muscles, didn't it? I think the Bulldogs were tired of hearing that they're off this year and they're not the same. That was a dominating performance.
Well, it played right into, I think, Kirby's communication to the team because the way that Kentucky had dominated Florida, physicality and all these type things that come in, but both schools pride themselves on being physical. So I think it was who was going to be more physical and who could impose their will. And Georgia had a complete game, and Carson Beck, I don't think he was touched in the first half. So you give any quarterback time to throw the ball, they're probably going to beat you. Yeah, but I think it was a complete game, and certainly that's one of those games. And you don't have many games like that where you play that effectively for 60 minutes. I mean, you may have 1, 2, or 3 games like that all year, but that was certainly one for Georgia.
If Florida beats South Carolina, I said one more question. I lied. One more question. If Florida beats South Carolina, gets to 5-2, where do they go on the Gator Bowl list?
Oh, I think they'd be right in the mix.
Almost
first,
right?
We'd love to have Florida in.
They're as
close
as they are.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and you're not in any danger of them playing their way out of the bowl.
That's correct.
They just got to keep winning enough.
Absolutely.
What's the minimum amount of wins for Florida to get?
Oh, I think 7.
Okay.
I think if they get 7.
So Yeah.
Because it depends on I don't know if they have 7, they have 6, and 2 or 3 teams have 8.
Right.
It'd be kind of hard to jump them and give them a better bowl than somebody that's maybe more deserving from total wins. But heck, no, I'd love to have the Gators here.
That'd be great, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
Greg, thanks, buddy. Greg McGarity, the executive director of the Gator Bowl. Rick Ballou joins us, Talk FSU, after this.
The Frangie Show, live from the Hastings Injury Law Firm Studios on 1010XL. Hit back with Hastings.
4 quarters are good. A 5th is better. It's the window world of Northeast Florida 5th quarter from 9-ball heaven. 2 hours after the final whistle on game day. Brought to you by Osteen, Volvo, and Volkswagen, and Dr. George Barry and Barry Orthopedics.
Hey Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
Are you tired of having a plain and boring backyard? Really want to impress your family and friends this year? Then stop by Stone Core on Phillips Highway. Imagine hosting guests at your new outdoor kitchen, relaxing by your custom-built fireplace under a brand new pergola. Stone Core can also remodel your old pool deck and beautiful new pavers. Make your backyard wishes a reality. Visit Stone Core on Phillips Highway and let's get started at stonecore.co. We do outdoors better.
Committed to the team. Committed to the mission. At Navy Mutual, we're committed to providing high-quality life insurance to members of the military and their families. So our policies have no fine print and no military service restrictions. We don't work on commission. We're nonprofit, so we pass the savings along to our members. Because at Navy Mutual, our highest commitment is to you. Visit NavyMutual.org. Navy Mutual, insuring those who serve.
Football season means time on the couch and plenty of big games on the TV. Well, Florida Home AC knows you might be hitting the thermostat every time your team goes for the win. With family and friends hanging out for 4 quarters or more, the heating and AC unit will be working overtime. Stay cool with Florida Home AC. A simple phone call to 777-4300 and make sure your unit is primed for the fall when temps change constantly. Order a tune-up and enjoy the season. Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars.
Hey, poker fans, you're in for a treat this October at Best Bet. With over $690,000 in poker promotions paid out this month, this is no time to be on the sidelines. Highlights include the $400 GoPo 400 with $40,000 guarantee at Best Bet Orange Park, the $100,000 guarantee St. Augustine Championship, and the return of the World Poker Tour $1 million guarantee at Best Bet Jacksonville. For all the details, visit bestbetjacks.com. That's bestbetjacks.com.
Electricians, innovators, and tech enthusiasts, listen up. Miller Electric is shaping the future, and we want you to be a part of it. From healthcare and data centers, corporate offices, aviation, and industrial facilities, Miller Electric is powering the most exciting projects in Jacksonville and beyond. We offer not just a job, but a thrilling career with great pay and incredible benefits. Visit us at millercareers.com to apply. Miller Electric, where your skills meet our vision, an equal opportunity employer.
Home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Lauren Brooks here for Hodges Mazda. Why buy from Hodges Mazda at the Avenues? Because they strive to ensure a satisfying and comfortable car buying experience. That's why the sales staff doesn't work on commission, allowing Hodges Mazda to put your best interests first. Whether you're looking for a brand new Mazda or a pre-owned vehicle, Hodges Mazda has a large selection to help you choose from. And every vehicle purchased from Hodges Mazda comes with 2 years free maintenance and free car washes for life. Now that is peace of mind. So visit Hodges Mazda today or shop online at hodgesmazda.com.
Does your home or building need painting? For over 20 years, Performance Painting has had the privilege of preserving many of Jacksonville's most prominent buildings. That said, we feel like we're just getting started. I'm Jason Parker, and our team thrives on preparing, protecting, and preserving the homes, businesses, and public buildings that make up our local landscape. Contact us today to put our years of experience to work for you. Performance Painting, prepare, protect, preserve.
Performance painting.
Follow every Gators game on 1010XL. Brought to you by Renewal by Anderson Windows and Doors, the official window and door replacement company of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Farrah & Farrah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars.
Hey, this is Bert Cannon with the First Coast YMCA. Youth sports at the Y can help nurture your future athlete's potential and experience the joy of being a kid. At the Y, we're providing a safe, clean, and fun environment with basketball, soccer, volleyball, gymnastics, elite skills training, and more. Best of all, participation in Legacy Youth Sports League is free with your family membership. Visit fcymca.org to learn all about youth sports at the Y.
I want my Woody's barbecue.
High Flying Jacko here, sports fans. Hey, what's easier, striking out the pitcher or kicking a short field goal? But you know what's really easy? Going to your nearby Woody's Barbecue and chowing down on ribs, chicken, turkey, pork, catfish, and all the trimmings. Yes, sirree, Bob. Woody's Barbecue's been doing it for over 40 years.
At Woody's Barbecue, it's what we do.
Let's eat.
Are you an experienced automotive technician and tired of working for employers who put profit over people? Then come to Action Transmission on Merrill Road and get trained on how to diagnose and rebuild today's complex transmissions. See how we're different. Get traction on your career and come to Action.
Equal opportunity employer.
This is your Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update. I'm Andrew Gibson for 1010XL. This update brought to you by Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Georgia legend Mark Richt will be inducted into the 2023 Georgia-Florida Hall of Fame. Richt was the head coach of the Bulldogs in 2007 for one of the most memorable touchdown celebrations in the history of the rivalry.
Marino up over the top. Did he break the plane? Yes. Georgia, touchdown. And here comes the entire team. Watch this for excessive celebration. We may have 15 hankies in the air on this one. I can't believe this.
This was absolutely planned. Mark Richt decided that he is going to try to fire his team up.
Mark Richt, a member of the 2023 Georgia-Florida Hall of Fame. It's 75 degrees at 3 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air Conditioning. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
It's an old rock Thursday. Music the way it should be, or at least used to be, on The Frangie Show.
The Monkees on Old Rock Thursday. Blue, did you know that the Monkees, 57 years ago this week, did their debut album? Do you know that?
I did not know that.
57 years ago this week, Ricky boy. How about that? Makes you feel
I know that the Beatles were somewhat interested, but they went with Badfinger as their to be the number one band on their Apple Records. But
well done. That's exactly right.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that. So
there you go. The Monkees.
Hey, you learn something every day.
There you go. Monkees today on Old Rock Thursday. Knowles, move along a little bit. I won't get too much into last week because I want to look ahead a little bit to this week. Syracuse, any problem? I mean, Syracuse started out 4-0. And looked like a good football team. Then they got hammered a couple times, but Clemson and North Carolina really hammered them. Any concern this week for the Noles, or business as usual?
No, I don't think so. As long as they keep the foot on the the gas, they're up 22-0, and in the second quarter, they allowed Tech to put up 144 yards, and then Florida State has -8. Then you come back after the kickoff, it's 22-17. So. The game was never in doubt. That's crystal clear. But again, that's what I mean about rip out the jugular, and that's what Florida State hopefully is going to be able to do here against the Syracuse team that has gotten just destroyed. I mean, 71-21 in their last two outings with Clemson and UNC. UNC put up 644 yards against them last week. They're down two of their better offensive linemen. Their best overall player, Rondé Gadsden's out for the year. You look at Garrett Schrader. Here's a guy 2 years ago in Tallahassee, ran the ball for 137 yards and 3 touchdowns. Florida State pulled that game out 33-30. Then last year, Florida State holds him to just 65 yards passing. Florida State wins the game 38-3. If you're asking me which way I think this year's game is going to be, I'll say more towards what we saw 1 year ago. Florida State, no matter which way you look at it, they're a much better team right now than Syracuse.
Rick, there's the possibility, probably won't happen, but possibility that Florida State, North Carolina, and Louisville all finish undefeated in league play. Has the league weighed in yet on how that would go? I'm assuming it would be by the rankings, so Florida State obviously would be safe, but any thought on that?
Yeah, I got quite a few, as a matter of fact. I did a radio interview in Syracuse yesterday, and I was talking with them about it. They weren't aware. This is classic Atlantic Coast Conference, just having no clue whatsoever. Louisville, North Carolina, and Florida State do not face one another this year. So the way that it reads, the ACC championship game would be determined on the records of the teams that you face. And people, mathematicians have gone after it and with algorithms or whatever else and found out that, believe it or not, if that is the case and all three teams are undefeated, Florida State could be anywhere from 1, 2, 3, or 4 in America, yet not go to the Atlantic Coast Conference championship game because it would be Louisville against North Carolina because their opponent's record would actually be better than Florida State's opponent's record. You can waive the overall ranking. You can waive the college football playoff rankings when they come out here later in the month. So, once again, we've always known the SEC as the founding fathers, and I really gave my distaste to Jim Phillips a few years ago when he was introduced, and it was right on the edge of COVID, and we had listened to Greg Sankey give a full blueprint on what would happen if a team comes down with COVID. Will there be suspensions? Will they reschedule these games? How are you going to be able to handle it? He had everything written there. Jim Phillips had no idea. He didn't even know the question was coming. He looked around like, I guess I'll have to ask the president. So, once again, here's the ACC. You want to pump them up. They got a real good conference, kind of like the Pac-12, yet they have this mess that could occur at the end of the year.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a mess, is right. So, Rick, does that mean that you're cheering for Florida in all of its games this season other than the game against Florida State?
No, as a matter of fact, I like Spencer Rattler in South Carolina coming up on
because it's only
on
league
Saturday.
games, right? That's the point.
Gotcha.
Correct.
But I mean, to go back to what Rick said again, let me put this in perspective because I'm glad you told me that. I didn't know that, Rick. I think when the season, in my opinion, when the regular season ends, Georgia's going to be first and FSU is going to be second. That's my opinion. I think they're both going to be 12-0. I might be wrong, but I think they're going to be 12-0 in the regular year, both of them. So FSU could be 12-0 in the regular year and not make their conference championship game. If they do that, they need to shut down the conference. They need to shut it down. They need to blow up. They need to shut the conference down.
Well,
that would
go
be
get
so
SMU.
freaking stupid. It'd be the stupidest thing of all time.
Frank, go get Stanford and go get SMU,
I guess.
and everything will be solved. Yeah, it's just it's just one mistake after another. I mean, we often lambaste leadership and conference commissioners. I mean, I don't want to get off on Roger Goodell and some of the mistakes I think he's made in the NFL, but how could you make such an egregious mistake? I mean, how could this possibility have never come up once you finally decide, let's get rid of the Coastal and the Atlantic, put everything under one umbrella? If Miami doesn't drop that ball, I mean, all of a sudden, you've got 4 undefeated teams going into this way. History tells us it's not going to be a concern. North Carolina has to go to Clemson and NC State at the end of the year, and Louisville, even though they're playing well, they got to go to Miami late in the year. So, and Florida State's got some games that they're going to have to win as well. So the chances of this happening are probably slim and none.
Where do you assess Jordan Travis right now, the season, based on what you expected, his Heisman candidacy? Because I think he's still in it. How do you see all of that?
Well, the best part of last weekend's game is that it was clear that he was healthy, and that was not the case for a couple of weeks. That was obviously not the situation against Boston College, nor was it against Clemson. He's such a tough guy. And, I love the fact that this week Syracuse, they're 109th in America, according to Pro Football Focus, when it comes to getting to the quarterback. So you hope that this is a game that, again, they can feed Trey Benson, get some other backs involved, and that Travis is able to effectively throw the football downfield. But that was obvious. He's healthier now than he has been in quite some time, so that's good. As far as a Heisman Trophy, I really don't see it. He's not as effective this year in a lot of things that he was a season ago, except for throwing the deep ball or the jump ball. I mean, with Winston Wright announcing that he left the team on Sunday, if you're not Keon Coleman or Johnny Wilson, the next 5 wide receivers on the Florida State roster go into this football game against Syracuse with 8 receptions total. So we're not seeing the route tree grow. If anything, it's been limited. And I think what they're saying is we got a 6'4" guy and a 6'7" guy. Let's just send them straight down the field and have them out-jump defensive backs. But I think they're going to have to be more creative against some of these teams and mix in the center part of the field. And, hopefully Destin Hill and Troy Williamson and Kentron Portier and others start to get a little bit involved. Right now, and I know, Frank, you and I are Heisman Trophy voters. I wouldn't have him in my top 5 yet because, number one, he doesn't have the statistics, and I think that's important. Number two, he hasn't made the huge splash plays outside of the TD pass to Coleman in overtime against Clemson. But there's so much football left. And, if he starts putting up 300-yard games, 3 touchdowns, and all of a sudden makes some big plays in front of a nationally televised audience, I think he's got an opportunity to get right back in it.
Rick, the Miami game is still about a month away, but is there any concern in Tallahassee over Mario Cristobal's game management?
Yeah. That happened at night, and the game was at, 3:30, so everything that happened there with Miami was really after the fact that I was chumming it up with some Seminole fans. It's an awful mistake by him, and the thing that a lot of people around here may have forgotten is that he made a similar mistake going back 4 to 5 years ago while at Oregon, and he could have punted the ball. He could have taken 2 knees, punted the ball, and there would have been 16 seconds remaining. You would have forced the Stanford Cardinal to go the entire field to tie it up, and that's exactly what they did after the fumble, and they beat him in overtime, did Stanford. So this is the second time it's happened. It's football 101. I'm actually, believe it or not disappointed. That would be the wrong word because Miami's a rival, but I think I'm shocked that this happened at this level. How can you make a mistake like that? And it really felt like Miami had turned the corner. I mean, their performance against Texas A&M, and I've watched Miami play every game this year, they're much more physical in the ditch on both the offensive and defensive line. They got 3 legitimate wide receiver targets, and you got 3 or 4 backs that do some really good things. So, yeah, I'm still very surprised, and, despite this awful era, I still think Mario Cristobal is a good coach.
Rick Ballou checking in, talking FSU football with you. Rick, thanks, buddy. We appreciate it, man.
All right, guys. See you.
All right. We'll take a break. More in a moment. This is 1010XL on 92.5 FM.
The Frangie Show, live from the Hastings Injury Law Firm Studios on 1010XL. Hit back with Hastings.
Your play-by-play home of Bulls Bulldogs football is 1010XL.
I'm Coach Pilgrim of the Bulls Bulldogs. We're on the road again this Friday night facing Wolfson, and you can hear it as it happens on 1010 AM.
I had a question about my insurance the other day, so I called my new State Farm agent. And would you believe I talked to the same person who remembered my name? They said that was called service. And then they asked if my dog Max was over his cold. They called that service too. And then they helped me find ways to save on my home and auto coverage. I asked State Farm what they called that. They said service.
Call State Farm agent Mike Tousell in Jacksonville at 425-4100.
This
This is Richard Miller with your Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles update. For the first time, Leaf has released hobby boxes of its Vivid line for football. 5 autographed cards come to a hobby box with names like Caleb Williams, Brock Purdy, Bo Jackson, and Deion Sanders. In 2023 Leaf Vivid Football. It's Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles. Update your collection.
Folks, football season off and running, and so is truck season with the powerful Chevy Silverado. You can take on anything. Now, Nimnick Chevrolet is proud to be Northeast Florida's Silverado truck headquarters. They've got the largest inventory on the ground, outstanding cash incentives, and the best price guarantee. Now, with thousands of dollars in discounts and incentives and nearly 200 Silverados in stock, your perfect truck is waiting for you right now at Nimnick Chevrolet. Plus, well-qualified buyers can get rates as low as 0% APR financing. That's right, 0% APR, no payments for 90 days on select Silverado 1500 pickup. You can shop online 24/7 at nimnickchevy.com or visit the dealership conveniently located at Park and Cassett. It's football season. It's also truck season. So head to Nimnick today. That's Nimnick, your friends in the car business since 1941. Chevy, find new roads.
Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. From GFL, Green for Life.
Are you still feeling the heat this summer? Looking to keep your cool? Look no further than Lloyd's Heating and Air. At Lloyd's Heating and Air, we're your go-to experts for all things HVAC. Whether you're building a new home, need a brand new AC installation, or just want to make sure your current system is running at peak performance, we've got you covered. Our skilled team specializes in new construction HVAC, making sure your home or business is comfortable from the moment you step inside. Lloyd'sHeatingandAir.com. CMC 1249834.
That really hurts. Who throws a shoe?
Helmets and Heels.
Honestly.
With Lauren, Taylor, and Mia.
Tuesday nights at 6.
Driven by Tire Outlet.
And presented by Underwood Jewelers.
You fight like a woman.
On 1010XL.
There's a new butcher in town. We're talking a vacuum marinating, sausage grinding, take and bake siding, value pricing, full service butcher. And our name is Southern Steer.
Now open in Ortega. For tasty tips and juicy breasts, choose Southern Steer Butcher.
Life's not complete without music. Friday, November 10th, 8 p.m. at Players Grill Mandarin, Julia Gulia takes the stage with unforgettable performances from the 90s, 2000s, and originals. It's not your average cover band. Players Grill Mandarin, where the neighborhood meets.
Looking for the best deal on your next set of tires? Tire Outlet never falls flat. We offer the best selection, best quality, and the best prices on tires so that you can find the right ones for your vehicle. And with over 40 years of experience, 15 locations across Florida, and a legendary price match guarantee, you can trust that your vehicle is in great hands. Our skilled technicians are ready to maintain and repair your vehicle to keep it operating its best. Tire Outlet, wholesale prices, premium service.
Tire Outlet.
Hey, sports fans, it's Hayes Carline from MyBookie. When your money's on the line, do it with a trusted sports book that gives you the tools to win, like MyBookie. In MyBookie, it doesn't matter if your team is up or down. You can easily cash out or bet the game live to come out on the winning side. Use MyBookie for daily odds boosts, same-game parlays, and take advantage of huge prize pool contests. Every single sack, fumble, and touchdown is another chance to hit payday. This Sunday, your favorite team is at home in a rematch against the Colts. Whether you like the point spread or the game total, don't miss out. Get in on the action with MyBookie. To get started, go to mybookie.ag. On your first deposit, use promo code 1010XL. That's going to get you a deposit match up to $1,000. Try the MyBookie money bag to grab a potential Super Bowl frontrunner at long shot odds. I'm talking Chiefs, 49ers. You're not going to find odds like that anywhere else. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere, only at MyBookie.
Prosser here for Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. Football season finally upon us, and with that comes cooler weather. If you've been wanting to upgrade your outdoor living space, you should call the experts at Lifetime Enclosures now. From glass lanais to screened-in enclosures, Lifetime Enclosures and Flooring is the best in the business, so give them a call today. Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. Showroom just off Phillips Highway. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Sunset comes a little earlier these days, and Hidden Hills Golf Club offers discounted twilight rates starting at 2 p.m. So you'll surely get your round in before darkness. Visit HiddenHillsGC.com and book your next tee time.
Whether you are looking for a job or an employer trying to hire, there's only one stop in Jacksonville, Remedy Staffing. Labor trends keep us guessing. As employers, the job market has been strong. So what does that mean for workers' availability? If you're interested in the workforce solutions or how the Remedy team can help you, call or text Crystal at 904-329-9802. 329-9802, Remedy Staffing.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars, protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555, Jacksonville.
It's an old rock Thursday. Music the way it should be, or at least used to be, on The Frangie Show.
The street is trying hard to learn their song.
My favorite. Hayes, I don't know if you saw this, but our friend from Super 70 Sports looked up one day and saw that the Monkeys weren't in the Rock Hall. Did you see his tweet?
I don't think I did. I don't remember.
He said, Monkeys aren't in the Rock Hall? Wake up, you Hall people. Pleasant Valley Sunday is better than some bands' whole effing careers. I said, God bless you. It's a great song. You know, do you like the song? By far my favorite Monkey song, Pleasant Valley Sunday. Monkeys are good, man. How about you knowing all four names? I was very impressed with it. You know what? I would have missed that guess, by the way.
That's one of those like Slumdog Millionaire things where I just happened to see the TV show as a kid.
Yeah.
So it's like I shouldn't know it, but because it was on Nickelodeon or probably on before I watched, you can't do that on television, you know, and so I watched the Monkeys and probably saw enough of them. I remember the theme song.
Right. Well,
I remember the opening of the show. It would show like all kind of each guy and
Yeah, I would have had you down at. I set the over and under because you're a smart guy. You know a lot of stuff. So I'd have had you at 2.5. I'd have given you Davy Jones, and I thought you'd have fallen into Dolan's.
Right.
And so I'd have gone under.
Yeah.
And I'd have set it at 2.5 and gone under. I'd have lost a lot of money on that, like $1 or something.
Yeah. I'm full of surprises.
You are full of surprises.
Should have played trivia last night after all.
Yeah.
Exactly. Hey,
we would have dominated that.
Hey, I want to go back to my point about South Carolina. We never really expounded on it. Florida plays South Carolina. It's a gigantic game for the Gators. If they win the game, they're 5-2, and then there's an air of respectability. They could climb back into the bottom of the top 25, I think, even if they struggle the rest of the way. And I think Hayes, they'd have more confidence the rest of the way if they go to Georgia 5. They're not going to beat Georgia, but if they go into that game 5-2, at least there'd be a modicum of confidence as they move to some of the other games. Lose this game, you're 4-3. You're going to lose to Georgia, you're 4-4. Other than maybe Arkansas, I can't imagine you playing with much confidence in any of the games moving forward. I mean, this is a gigantic game for all of those reasons. One of the biggest Billy Napier's ever coached.
Well, and you need to solve the road misery. You know, you don't want that being a thing that bleeds into next season. And not to say that winning at South Carolina totally solves it, but if you lose that game, then there's a good chance you're not going to win on the road this season because I don't know that they're going to win at Missouri. I definitely don't think they're winning at LSU. So, you know, in looking at it, you might go over. You know, that all the games that you win this year are going to be games in the swamp. And if you're ever going to evolve to being a good program, you know, again, you've got to learn how to win away from your building. And this is a prime opportunity. I think the game favors Florida in terms of how both teams play. South Carolina, I think, has the better, more explosive quarterback, but Florida's got the better defense by a mile, and Florida's got the better ground game by a mile. So, but South Carolina's had a bye week. You know, they're going to be refreshed. They're going to have some new wrinkles, and they don't have to travel, and it's in front of their fans. So all the intangibles line up for South Carolina. But again, if you're Florida and you're getting back to being the Gators, this is a game that you go and win. You run the ball, you play good defense, and you get out of there with a victory. It doesn't have to be pretty, but you beat a team that you were able to beat last year in a down year. So it's a pivotal game for Florida. And, yeah, I mean, if they're able to win Saturday, then the cocktail party actually has implications. I mean, again, I don't think Florida's going to win the game, but it would be a storyline going in is, look, Florida's only lost one league game. If they happen to beat Georgia, then Georgia would be looking up at Florida in the standings. Again, it's not going to happen, but it at least gives Florida that storyline that, does make you feel good about the program, that you're going to Jacksonville with a chance at winning the East. Or it's, getting ahead of Georgia in that race. They would obviously still be behind Kentucky unless the Wildcats lose between now and then. All that stuff I think is really important for Billy Napier as he tries to build this thing. I probably say this too much when it comes to Florida because it's almost like every week feels this way. It's a crossroads game. It's a crossroads game for Florida. Where are you going as a program?
But in fairness to you, because so many of them are. I mean, they are. I agree with you. I mean, this one is a real. By the way, if they win the game, I don't think they're necessarily headed to greatness immediately. And if they lose the game, I don't think you shut down the program. But it is a very, again, 5-2, given where they've been, would speak to respectability. 4-3 with a loss upcoming, and all of a sudden you're 4-4 and fighting to avoid yet another losing season would not. That's how important the game is.
Florida destroyed South Carolina a season ago, but so much has changed since then. And so that, to me, is going to be interesting. Can Napier kind of prove that he's in Shane Beamer's head and whatever he does offensively that may not be great against most programs is really good against the Gamecocks? I think it's interesting that we look at the schedule now and we could literally say Florida's not going to win another game. Florida could win 3 to 4 games. Like that is what's so telling about this program is we know little things about this team. We know the completion percentage for Mertz, and we know the running backs are good, and we know the line has struggled, but they're trying to get healthy, and we know the receivers are pretty good. We know the defense has improved. But we don't know collectively as a unit what they're going to be like week to week. We have absolutely no idea, which is why even though we follow the program so closely, none of us would take our own money and bet the game on Saturday.
And the other thing, too, is when you play in the SEC, other than Vanderbilt, who they just blew out, there really aren't any gimmies. If you're really good, maybe there are. But if you're at that 6-win trying to become, if you're that 6 or 7 win team or 5 or 6 win team trying to become that 8 or 9 win team, nothing's easy. There's some leagues, where you can run through 3 or 4 of the easy ones. You can play Indiana and Illinois and Purdue and Rutgers, and all of a sudden that's 4. The SEC, other than Vanderbilt, who is one of those teams, doesn't have any of those. And that's what makes it hard.
Florida's been that team, honestly, for a lot of programs recently. Florida's been the team where other teams, Hayes, can look at their schedule and go, okay, we'll beat Florida.
No doubt about it. And again, this is coming from Florida's Sports Information Department, but it is something that they're now kind of pushing, which I think is interesting. Florida has had 11 true freshmen playing every game this season. Mm-hmm. That is the most in the country by 4.
Yeah.
Wow, by 4.
By 4. I mean, no one else has more than 7. Florida has 11 true freshmen that have played in every game this season.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, it speaks to those teams, when you're young like that, are going to be maddeningly inconsistent, wildly inconsistent. And you just don't know what team you're going to have. They're going to be much better at home than they are on the road. But it doesn't matter. You're Florida. You've got to get beyond that. You've got to win at least a game or 2 on the road to feel good about the direction of the program.
Meanwhile, if you're South Carolina, you just had the off week. You're 2-3. One of your wins was Furman. If you lose this game and go to 2-4, here's what's next. At Missouri, at Texas A&M, which tells me 2-6. Home against Jacksonville State, I assume you'd win that 3-6. Vanderbilt you win 4-6. Then Kentucky and Clemson end the season. Shane Beamer, who was all the rage, he could go 4-8. You talk about the luster coming off it. Now you would think you certainly have a longer leash if you're the South Carolina coach than if you're the Florida or Alabama or Georgia or Florida State coach. But South Carolina, that's how important this game is for them. They're staring, in my opinion, straight at 4-8 if they don't win this game, don't you think?
I do. And again, they've had an entire bye week to get ready for it. So it's a difficult challenge for Florida from an intangible standpoint. You know, the other thing that I think is a big factor in this game is the special teams. Florida's special teams have been a disaster. I mean, that's not, you know, that's not, you know, trying to be, you know, exaggerating it, you know, for effect. They have literally been a disaster this season. Obviously, Shane Beamer, that's special teams are going to be a point of emphasis for him from, you know, his father's influence.
And Pete Lembo, the special teams coach there, is legendary.
I mean, so
he's got one of the best special teams coaches in the country.
If you're Billy Napier,
and he has a special teams coach, period.
Right.
That's a good
yeah,
thing.
That too. There's that too.
If you're Billy Napier, I mean, again, this is a big litmus test for you. If you go up to Columbia on Saturday and lose the game by 4 because you gave up a block punt or a big kick return, you know, or you were disorganized at any point, it's going to reflect poorly because you're not going to get that mistake from South Carolina. And Florida needs to be aware. South Carolina, I want to say, successfully faked a punt last year. Now, they didn't end up winning the game.
They did. I think he scored a touchdown. I think it might have been their only touchdown in the game.
Yeah, so, I mean, Florida's got to be ready for that. That will be a phase that Shane Beamer has probably been drooling for 2 weeks over how they can take advantage of Florida's suspect special teams.
It feels like Florida's always had a dangerous return man, and that player doesn't seem to be on this team. Maybe it could have been Wilson, but because of the mistakes earlier in the season, they've hesitated in, plus his injuries. But it doesn't seem like anybody – I mean, Pearsall is not a dangerous returner. Right. It doesn't seem like Florida has that aspect of the game whatsoever.
I don't think they've had that player in 10 years. I mean, since Andre DeBose left,
I
don't know that Florida's had.
Tony was that guy, but there haven't been
I don't even
very
remember
many.
him on special teams
he
that
made
much,
some,
though.
He made some big returns. But there haven't been a lot of them. There certainly haven't been a lot, and it certainly doesn't feel like there's one now, to your point.
Definitely not one now.
Yeah, so
but you'd think they can't repeat some of the same issues. Like, you'd think, I probably shouldn't even say this out loud, but they can't have another leaping penalty. They can't have two men with the same number on the field at the same time. Like, they should have learned from all that.
And both of those are, to Hayes' original point, they're playing so many true freshmen. Those were both true freshman mistakes. Both the two you just cited were both true freshman mistakes. Now, that's coaching. If you're going to put the true freshmen out there, you got to live with it. But both of those were. The final thing I'll say about them is what Shane has said, what he said on our air yesterday, what he said on his podcast. You have to throw. People say, why did Graham Mertz miss the deep throws? Well, because you don't throw them, you don't practice them. You have to throw 7 or 8 a game. Throw the ball down the field. I mean 7 or 8 a game, and you want to hit 2 or 3 of them. And if you're throwing 7 or 8 down the field and you hit 3 of them. Well, now everybody knows that's part of your DNA, and that changes everything. It changes running lanes for your running backs. It changes the underneath routes for Ricky Pearsall because you can't sit on those routes. So that, to me, that is the big – and I hope somewhere along the line – Billy's a smart guy. He knows a lot of smart people in football. I hope he's smart enough that he's asked, give me some advice. What are we doing wrong? I trust your judgment. And whoever he asked that is saying, bro, you got to stretch the field some. You got to stretch it some.
He even said today his wife has repeatedly asked him about throwing the ball downfield.
Is that right?
Like,
good.
Literally, his wife is like, what on earth is preventing you from doing this?
I'm glad he said that because, number one, it means he's keeping a sense of humor about it a little.
Sure.
But number two, he is hearing it, so we'll see. We'll take a break. Lauren's going to wrap the program in news and notes right after this.
The Frangie Show, live from the Hastings Injury Law Firm Studios on 1010XL. Hit back with Hastings.
Nothing came easy, and he wouldn't have it any other way.
It's blue-collar line of scrimmage football. I'm Tom McManus, and I join Jaguars Today Fridays from 10 to noon.
Brought to you by Renewal by Anderson Windows and Doors on 1010XL.
Elevate your driving experience with Osteen Volvo Cars of Jacksonville. The Osteen Volvo team is a key piece of our community, and when it comes to cars, excellence is non-negotiable. Visit Osteen Volvo on Phillips Highway, online at osteenvolvo.com.
When you step into a courtroom, you're stepping into a fight. Someone wins, someone loses. I'm attorney Brett Hastings, and at Hastings Injury Law, we've got the experience you want in your corner if you or a loved one suffer a personal injury or a wrongful death. We're here to fight for you. So if you get hit, hit back with Hastings Injury Law, offices Jacksonville. Find us on the web at 904hitback.com or call our 24-hour helpline, 904-HIT-BACK.
Let me get this thing unwrapped here. Duval!
Praz, what in the world are you doing working on your Duval?
That's right, Dan. I really identify with Duval.
You live in St. Johns County, knucklehead.
I mean the Duval sub, the Dailies Dash Duval. Turkey, ham, melted cheddar, and habanero jack cheeses. Lettuce, tomato, crispy and fresh, like me. I'm sure there's a Dailies Dash sub that sums you up.
The boss.
Because, of course,
oven roasted beef, Munster cheese, roasted mushrooms, caramelized onions. It's the boss of all subs. Only available for me.
That's just not true.
What do you mean? I walked in the other day, screamed, "You know it!" and said, "A boss for a boss."
Well, no matter who you are, there is a Dailies Dash sandwich or sub for you.
Go find yours. They may even make you a boss.
I'm sure they will, because it is Dailies Dash.
Where more is better.
And you got that right.
Hey, sports fans, it's Hayes Carline from MyBookie. Football is in full force. So is winning season at MyBookie. It's time to get fired up and get in on the action. NFL, college ball, and a brand new cash-out system. If the first two legs of your parlay hit, you can cash out early, use the funds on another bet, or let it ride for the chance at a bigger payday. Go to mybookie.ag and register for a free account. Use promo code 1010XL to grab a welcome bonus up to $1,000. Let's take a look at some updated MyBookie lines. The Jaguars are a 4-point favorite over the visiting Colts. The Gators a 2-point underdog at South Carolina. Florida State is a 17.5-point home favorite over Syracuse. Sign up with that promo code 1010XL to claim your deposit bonus. Again, it's a bonus up to $1,000. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie, and don't forget that promo code 1010XL.
There's no better time to be a Jags fan, especially when you're a MyGate Rewards member. Gate is giving you the chance to meet the man, Trevor Lawrence. You and 3 of your friends can meet Trevor Lawrence in person at the stadium. Entering is easy. With the MyGate Rewards Gatorade Club, for every 5 Gatorade products you purchase, you'll be entered for a chance to win. See store for details. Gate, your hometown convenience store.
When it comes to sharing my opinion, I love swinging the hammer. I'm Hayes Carline. Listen for Hammer Time with Hayes weekdays on The Frangie Show on 1010XL, brought to you by Golden Hammer Roofing and Gutters, the golden standard in roofing.
Did you know that all graduates of Local 234's apprenticeship program are licensed journeymen? That means all plumbers, pipe fitters, welders, and HVAC techs will have hundreds of hours of experience and have passed the Jacksonville City Licensed Journeyman exam. They're the best trained and safest skilled tradespeople in the industry. Don't leave yourself exposed to inadequate workmanship or even danger. Always hire a licensed journeyman. Local 234. Make the right connection. Equal opportunity employer.
Hey folks, Rick Ballou here. Hurricane season is upon us. That's why I always recommend Patriot Roofing Services, specializing in all types of commercial, residential roofing and repairs, gutters, sun tubes, skylights, 10-year workmanship warranty, financing is available, military and senior citizen discounts, no subcontractors. Give my buddy Mark a call, 982-4052, licensed and insured, or go to Patriot Roofing Services online.
Arthritis is the most common cause of joint pain in America and affects more than 50 million adults. Dr. George Barry here, and no one wants to deal with pain without solutions on how to feel better. For reliable diagnosis and comprehensive treatment options, come see me and the specialists at Barry Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. With more than 35 years of experience in orthopedics, our team delivers compassionate and dedicated care to relieve your pain. Set up a visit today by scheduling online or calling the office. Log on to barryorthopedics.com with locations across Jacksonville.
Hey poker players, get ready because the World Poker Tour is coming back to Best Bet Jacksonville from October 26th through November 14th. It is your chance to become a World Poker Tour champion with 14 different poker tournaments to play in, including the Best Bet Scramble, a $5,000 no-limit hold'em main event with a $1 million guarantee. Satellites and mega satellites are going on now at Best Bet Jacksonville. Visit bestbetjacks.com for the full World Poker Tour schedule and more information. That's bestbetjacks.com.
Football is back and so is truck season. Frank Frangie here. Nimnick Chevrolet is proud to be Northeast Florida's Silverado truck headquarters. With nearly 200 Silverados in stock, your perfect truck is waiting for you at Nimnick Chevrolet. Plus, well-qualified buyers can get rates as low as 0% APR financing. Yes, 0% APR and no payments for 90 days on select Silverado 1500 pickups. So visit NimnickChevy.com or visit Nimnick at the corner of Park Street and Cassett Avenue. Chevy, find new roads.
This is Dr. Steve Crenshaw, Assistant Team Physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jaguars brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
Jaguars wide receiver Christian Kirk says there's a different level of confidence in the Jaguars locker room after a 2-0 trip to London.
Yeah, it definitely can, pose its challenges, because they're watching the same film that, that we're watching, and it's a familiar opponent, and I know they're going to, really try to correct all the things that may have gone wrong in the past and week one, and so are we, because there are also things that we left out there as well. So I think it's just treating it like any other opponent that we face. We know this is obviously a big divisional game for us, but I think it all comes down to execution. When you play an opponent that you know what's going to do, you know how they're going to line up, it's all about just matching intensity and going out and executing.
Jaguars wide receiver Christian Kirk. I'm Andrew Gibson with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars update.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars, protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555, Jacksonville.
It's an old rock Thursday. Music the way it should be, or at least used to be, on the Frangie Show. What's going on in the world? It's time for Frangie Show news and notes. Here's Lauren Brooks.
Oh, I could hide 'neath the wings of the bluebird as she sings. The 6 o'clock alarm would never ring, but it rings and I rise, wipe the sleep out of my eyes. My shaven razor's cold and it stings. Cheer up, sleepy Jean, what can it mean to a daydream believer and a homecoming queen?
So this song is on one of my favorite all-time soundtracks, which is Now and Then. Now and Then, the movie itself is for probably young girls, but as far as the soundtrack, one of the all-time great soundtracks.
You turned me on to that, and I agree with you. I'd never heard it, or I never saw the movie, and you told me to go listen to the soundtrack. Dead on.
It's totally like a teenage girl movie,
but the soundtrack's fantastic.
The soundtrack is so good.
Have you heard the soundtrack to it, Hayes?
I don't think so.
I didn't know the movie, so Lauren told me about it. And I don't know if the movie, to your point, I don't know if the movie was great for me, but the soundtrack's as good as you said it was. It's really good.
Hayes, it's got Signed, Sealed, Delivered, Sugar, Sugar, Knock 3 Times, Band of Gold, All Right Now, this song, I'll Be There, I Want You Back. Like, so Jackson
that is a
5,
great, you just ran
Stevie
off.
Wonder.
You just ran off
they
a great
spent
soundtrack.
some money on that soundtrack.
Yeah, they did.
And it's one of those that you can put it on and every single song is fantastic.
I mean, that soundtrack, you just ran off. I mean, that's...
And there's more I didn't even get to.
That's really good.
So yeah, if you've never heard it, I'm not going to necessarily recommend the movie. I liked it, but I was a teenage girl when I watched it. All right, let's get it to the Broncos-Chiefs tonight. Do you think most people at this point in time believe that the Broncos and Russell Wilson are done for the season, Frank?
Yeah, I do. The NFL's weird. You win a game late in the year, and when you're not supposed to. I mean, Darrell Bevell, interim Jaguar coach, won a game, but for the most part, it didn't work. The Russell Wilson to the Broncos thing didn't work, period, no matter which head coach. I was wrong about that. I thought he would be very good there with that very good defense. That didn't work. The Nate Hackett thing didn't work there. It surely doesn't look like the Sean Payton thing. Hayes is working there. Yeah, I would think they're a very proud, reputable franchise that right now Hayes is a lost franchise.
They really are. I mean, Garrett Bowles said it a few weeks ago, like, all we've done here is lose. And really, in my lifetime, Denver's always been a consistent winner. Not necessarily a title contender.
But one of the better teams.
But always, above 500 and competing for, playoff berth, if not in the tournament. And to see them at 1-4, I think it's – I'm surprised. I thought Sean Payton was a good hire. It doesn't appear like he's going to be there because they really can't figure anything out. I mean, I thought we're going to have a good defense. So to allow what the Dolphins did to them, they're minus 60 in point differential. That's third worst in the NFL behind the Giants and, shockingly, Patriots. Again, Bill Belichick's fall from grace. But, I think Denver is done. And, it becomes a point of discussion for them in the offseason. If they're sitting there with a top 3-4 pick, what do you do? I would think at that point you draft a quarterback and you cut Russell Wilson and take the massive dead money hit it's going to be and just acknowledge that was a disaster of a trade and move on. And, that's not – you don't hire Sean Payton to do that, but I think it's just been such a disaster so far, and I don't see them getting better. I mean, they seem very much like – they're getting ready to have a fire sale. There's reports they're going to trade Jerry Jeudy imminently, and defensively they've got some guys that are on the market. Cortland Sutton could be on the move, so it seems like Denver is entering into they're just going to do a complete rebuild and and see if they can be in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes.
Who has the worst quarterback situation? The Broncos with how much they paid Russell Wilson, the Giants having paid Daniel Jones, the Cardinals having paid Kyler Murray.
To me, believe it or not, I still think there's hope for Daniel Jones. I don't think it's over for him. There's almost some Josh Allen in there for me. Kyler Murray, I never think it's going to happen for him. But at least the Broncos can move on, right? They're out a lot of money, but he's an older guy.
Yeah, so much money.
I would say the team that needs a better quarterback in the worst way is the Cardinals of that group for me.
I would agree. I think they're all three pretty dreadful situations, but I would say that Kyler Murray, I think, is done, is a legit starting quarterback in the NFL, not because of the health. I just don't think he works hard enough at it. So I absolutely think no team is ever going to put Kyler Murray in a position where he is the entrenched starter. Daniel Jones, I think, is it's trending downward. But I could see him still having somewhat of an NFL future. Maybe he's in a camp next year competing with a first-round rookie. And Russell Wilson, I still think he can play to some level. I don't think that last year I didn't put a lot on Russell Wilson because I did think Nathaniel Hackett wasn't ready, didn't do a good job. There's been moments this year with Russell Wilson where he's looked like it's going to be okay, but I don't think he'll ever get back to being the star that he was. But if I had to have one of the three for next season, I'd choose Russell Wilson. But I think they're all three pretty bad options right now.
Yeah, I think so as well. Good news as far as the Jaguars are concerned. Devon Hamilton, who went on the reserve injured list back on August 31st, is now back at practice officially today.
That's really good news, and hopefully he'll make a full recovery and be back on the football field. I worried when everything came out that he would not be able to play this year, and now it looks like at some point he's going to. It was great seeing him on the field today. Agreed.
Yes, certainly was. We didn't get to this, I don't think, on air. Mark Stoops on his radio show said, "I can promise you, Georgia, they bought some pretty good players. You're allowed to these days, and we could use some help." That's what they look like when you have 85 of them. I encourage anybody disgruntled to pony up some more.
I think it's frustration. Obviously Kentucky was feeling really good about themselves. They get a great win over Florida, a dominant win, and then to just not be competitive at all with Georgia, I think it makes it difficult. And I think Mark Stoops is looking at this and saying, to disgruntled Kentucky fans, look, this job is terrible. Yes, I'm getting paid a lot of money, but I've also brought you guys a respectability over this last 11 years that you guys haven't had. And so, I'm sure it's frustrating because every time Mark Stoops looks up, Georgia's getting another 5-star prospect. He's just never going to get that player. I mean, and not in any volume. And look, I mean, we're in an age now where how much you spend is going to translate to your success in recruiting. So Kentucky, absolutely. You know, they've obviously got boosters. I'm sure the basketball team, the top 7 players on that roster, I'm sure I'd be stunned if they have less than $1 million in their accounts. So I can see where he's coming from, but I think it's sour grapes because Kentucky got a dash of reality last week that while they're above average, they're not even remotely close to competing on a national level.
And when people complained about it, and that's how he responded. That's what that was. People are all excited about Kentucky football, and they laid an egg, and they ripped him, and he kind of ripped back.
When it comes to the SEC 2023 Legends class, Shane Matthews gets to go in this year. Florida quarterback. We obviously talk to him once a week on Wednesdays about Florida football. How is he not already in?
Yeah, well, exactly right. How is Shane Matthews? I'll say this. Because Danny came along and won the Heisman, and Tebow came along and won the Heisman, and Grossman came along and finished second in the Heisman, and they won so many games, and they won 2 titles or 3 titles after he was gone and played it. Shane Matthews doesn't get his due. Shane Matthews started it all. 2-time SEC Player of the Year, and frankly, the year he didn't win SEC Player of the Year in '92, he carried the team on his back for a whole season. He carried them to 9 wins and was an eyelash from beating the national champions Alabama. So Shane Matthews he's one of my dear friends, so I'm biased. He should have been in that thing long, long, long ago, and good for him.
Who else is in the group? Because I mean, it
ranges in years. Like for instance, Ole Miss Patrick Willis, the linebacker, he was there 2003 to 2006. You've got Marcus Lattimore at South Carolina, the running back, 2010 to 2012. Those are some of the headliners, I would say.
Because it does feel like
Noshawn
Matthews.
Moreno for Georgia.
Okay, because that's a good list. Sometimes these lists, when it's only one player every year, there can be a bit of a backlog, particularly if the program's had a ton of success. I mean, I agree. Shane Matthews should have been in, and that's a great point that he sort of got overlooked because so many quarterbacks that came after him had tremendous success. But that sounds like everybody sounds like a lot of those players you'd probably say, if you're a fan of that school, really? They're not in yet? Yeah. So maybe it's 1 through 14, a pretty good group.
One quick thing before you go to our takeaways.
Mm-hmm.
You guys realize there's 4 baseball teams that won 99 games or more.
Mm-hmm.
Braves 104, Orioles 101, Dodgers 100, the Rays 99. Nobody else even close. Nobody else in baseball won more than 90, other than those 4 teams that all won more.
And they're 1-12.
Do you realize we're 1 game from them all being eliminated?
Yeah.
We are 1 game away from they're 1-12.
Yeah.
And we are one and they should be all out by now. How the Braves won the one that they did win. So think about that. They're almost back to the rest thing, but they're almost all gone.
Is that a problem for baseball moving forward?
Well, I don't know. They may jockey the schedule a little bit. It's certainly a problem in this year from a rating standpoint when nobody knows the team. I mean, the Diamondbacks swept the Dodgers. The Dodgers finished 16 games ahead of them in the standings. They're in the same division. The Dodgers were 16 games ahead. They won 100 games. The Diamondbacks won 84. Did you realize that? 84. And they walloped the Dodgers in the postseason.
You got to get hot at the right time. Time now for today's takeaways.
Now, today's takeaways, brought to you by Key Buick GMC, where our family dealership has been helping families buy vehicles for over 50 years.
I go back to our visit with Greg McGarity and just looking at the ACC really coming through. I mean, the SEC always is going to have an attractive candidate for the Gator Bowl. But in looking at where the ACC is right now with, Florida State's not going to be in the mix, but Louisville and Miami, it's exciting right now for, in North Carolina. Really excited for the Gator Bowl on that ACC side.
If you haven't watched a baseball game all year, watch tonight. Braves-Phillies going to be electric. First pitch, 8:07.
Can't wait to watch. That'll do it for our program tomorrow. 3 o'clock, we'll have our picks. We'll have Prisco. We'll have Himes. We'll have a big show. We can't wait for that tomorrow. We're out of here. Don't go anywhere, though. Jaguar Happy Hour right now. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lagerman, the Doug Peterson Show all comes up right now. This is 1010XL and 92.5 FM.